Hi, I'm Mark Fleming from the Naval Graves Project. I'm here at the gravesite of James Alexander Fetz. He was an engine room artificer on the submarine HMAS AE1. You're probably asking, how can I be at his gravesite? Well, we're not. This is what we call a mention in the Naval Graves Project. It's because the family cared enough, they wanted him on the headstone. Now, I will show you a photograph of the headstone shortly, but he's got top billing. James Alexander Fetz, ERA, who lost his life 14th of September 1914, Her Majesty's Australian submarine AE1 at sea. He was aged 29 years and 11 months. Some of the graves we talk about in Rookwood are not the graves of our sailors, but the families cared enough to have on their family plot these guys' names. So we treat these as a grave. We will tell you, we turn around and we say we're at the gravesite of somebody, we'll tell you if they're actually there. Okay, but the mentions are important. Now, James, of course, is still in the submarine with the rest of the crew, but they've been found. Now that the wreck's been found, people are talking about it, but we still talk about James all the time. Okay, he is just 3-4 rows away from the Catholic Naval section here in Rookwood. We'll pop over there and have a look, and then we're going to pop down to another Catholic grave, that of Dennis Danny Mayer of HMAS Perth. This is the Catholic Naval section at Rookwood Cemetery. As you can see, it's a fairly small section. In the extreme left of the screen is the earliest graves, and running towards us they get later when they move down in a zigzag pattern, ending with the latest graves, the rows of white headstones you can see in the middle of the screen. Okay, we'll have a look at a few people here who are of special note. Headstones here are appearing at times. We're going to have a look at one at the moment. What I'm showing you here is the grave of William James Connolly. Now, he was a lieutenant commander, surgeon lieutenant commander. They didn't give him a headstone. He died from illness. He didn't die from a service-related accident, so he didn't get a headstone. Beside him, that just grassy bit there, is the grave of Ordinary Seaman Ritchie. Paul Ritchie was a Tingara boy who was murdered in his bunk on board HMAS Brisbane in 1924. George Ritchie. He was about 18 years old. He doesn't have a headstone. I think we need to do something about that, and I'll be starting a GoFundMe page for it. Now, at the moment, I'm going to zoom in and show you William James Connolly's grave. Now, somebody paid for this, government didn't. Light conditions aren't the best, and this is only a trial, so bear with us. We're going to make a film of some of the more prominent headstones around the place. But William James Connolly, Surgeon Lieutenant Commander, RAN. Now, this gentleman was the son of an admiral. He still didn't get a headstone. What chance has poor old Ordinary Seaman George Ritchie got? We're going to need your help. This is the gravesite of George William Page, boy second class, another Tingara boy. George was out in a whaler. She was tipped over. There were about 30 boys in the whaler. 5 of them drowned. 4 bodies were never recovered. And George, they recovered partial remains, which were identified by his name in a boot. And as you can see, at least he has a headstone. Okay, we're here at the gravesite of James Doyle, late able seaman, HMAS Fantone. James died at Cockatoo Island. Ship was in the Sutherland graving dock. They were playing soccer and James rushed over to intercept the ball. He did so but was unable to stop and fell into the dock. Some of our people fell in the most surprising and disappointing of manners. When I say disappointing, what a way to lose your life. These are the first two graves in the Catholic section. I don't know who they are. The two headstones you can see on the right, facing the opposite direction. Work is going on. We've identified Richie's grave. Still a bit more to do. Your help would be invaluable. Now, we're still in the Catholic section. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here on these two graves. Bear with me, this is an experiment we're going on with. If you have a look at these two graves, will be Bland and Watson. These two men were killed on the Cuttable. We're now looking at another three graves of Harold, Gannon and Colleen. These are another three Cuttable men. We have 5 of the Cuttable men in the Catholic section. We have others in the Anglican section and one in the Commonwealth War Graves area. The reef is ours and it remains here. We keep it here for our boys. Still in the Catholic section, this particular favourite of mine, Alexander MacDonald. He was an instructor lieutenant commander. Now, he has been here since 1955. Recently, his wife was laid to rest with him. When I say recently, I'm saying in the last couple of years. We weren't sure who had been buried here, but as you can see, there's a headstone there. She was in the RAF. I think of these two people, the faithfulness of his wife and her love for this man to want to be buried with him. Rest in peace, Alexander and Monica. We're looking at the headstone of Wally Waljick. Wally was clearance diver. He had been a birdie and he's known to some of our members. He was killed in a jeep accident in Vietnam. People still come and visit Wally's grave. This is a grave of Steve Ingalls. Steve was, still is, a friend of one of our members, Peter Colthorpe. Peter never forgets him, and we don't either. If you're a member of Naval Graves, you have somebody here, this cemetery, doesn't matter where they are or how far away you are, we will come to them for you. We know Steve's story. We won't forget it. Steve is not forgotten by his friend, Peter. He's not forgotten by Naval Graves. We're here by the grave of John and Florence Harris. And they are the aunt and uncle of Dennis R. Mayer of HMAS Perth, buried at sea. I've read about Dennis, known as Danny Mayer, and apparently when Perth was lost, his mate Gavin Campbell broke his leg. They managed to get to shore, but they had to keep moving, and Danny supported Gavin. It was later discovered that Danny had a broken shoulder, so how difficult it must have been for him to carry his mate, but he did it. Danny survived the Burma Railway, and he was in a convoy and being taken to Japan. The ship was torpedoed by US submarines through no fault of their own, and Danny again survived that, but then he was in a group of boats that drifted away from the other boats. Apparently there's a chaos of Japanese and Allied prisoners of war. The Japanese were coming up, picking up their own. jeering and leaving our boys behind. Some say they were fired at. And the boats that Danny and the group he was with drifted away out of sight. And later the survivors report hearing gunfire from that direction. So it's possible Danny was lost at the hands of Japanese fire. Danny doesn't rest here, but he's not forgotten. He's on this headstone. Somebody loved him enough to put him there. I think it's good enough, more than good enough, for Naval Graves in that case to remember him. Rest in peace, Danny Mayer. Thank you for your service.